So in this video, we'll be looking at what we nowadays call business formal, but I call proper business dress. So business dress, when I first got into the menswear trade, was very much broadly understood. We knew instinctively how to dress for a job interview, how you should dress for presentations, when you're meeting clients for the first time. I guess it's because we were dressing conservative business for our daily wear, and dress down wasn't such a thing, although there was a very subtle dress down Friday rules that always existed. And nowadays, particularly since post-COVID lockdowns, a lot of the old rules of dressing for business have kind of been lost. And we're now hearing the expression business formal, which refers to what I would call business dress, business casual, and lots of different nuances in between that. As a personal stylist, I help a lot of customers rediscover the art of how to dress for business, what the rules are, and how to have a conservative appeal which communicates you're serious. A lot of these things are very useful. I'll say now that this is very much a UK London-centric point of view. So in different parts of the world, it will be slightly different interpretations, which I will touch upon here and there. But from my experience, the traditional London conservative business dress was an international look. When I advise customers now from London businesses, they're going overseas, if they're dressed in a conservative London style, it will always be respected, I hope. And a really important point here is, and this is from my customers' feedback, is that once you do dress well for business, it gives you a sense of gravitas, a bit of confidence, and more importantly, the people you meet have confidence in you. So let's start with the classic suit. Until recently, it was the uniform of business, and if you said business dress, you just presumed it was a suit, a tailored jacket, and trousers in the same cloth. Nowadays, that's no longer the case, and if I see dress codes of business dress, it could mean chinos and jumpers, but traditionally, conservative business dress was a suit. These should be conservative suits, so they need to be in a very limited colour palette. And that colour palette are in the blues and the greys, avoiding black, avoiding very pale colours. The colours I always think have the strongest appeal for business dress, have a little bit of textures to them, and they're not shiny. You're much better off with a matte cloth that absorbs light. It just has a more serious feel to it. It's much more of an English styling. So the fabrics I always recommend would be mid-tone to dark fabrics like herringbones, bird's eyes, shark skins, hop sacks, but nothing too shiny. So I'd avoid the wool mohair mixes, I'd avoid silk mixes. They just have that very solid, dependable look about them. As far as weights go, obviously you need to be seasonal with them. You don't want anything too heavy in summer, but I would avoid the very flimsy, lightweight super fabrics, like the Super 150s lightweight. It's beautiful fabrics, and in certain business environments, that's gonna be fine. But in a traditional conservative business dress, when you're trying to make a first impression, I always recommend staying safer and going for proper fabrics. Now, the cut of the suit will depend on your personal taste. Currently, most of my customers are going for a 2-button, single-breasted suit with a jacket which is long enough to cover the seat. Nothing extreme is the key for business dress. You don't need to look archaic, you don't want to look old-fashioned, you don't want to look like you've walked out of a 1950s menswear magazine. You need to look contemporary, but still within classic proportions. So avoiding extremely wide lapels, extremely skinny lapels, just a nice fitting suit. The updated English look or conservative Italian look would fit that perfectly. And also, you know, a classic American style suit would all fit into that notion of classic business dress. The 2-button with a notch lapel has been popular for decades, so it's always a safe one. And then you want to avoid too many fashion details. Now, I love a detail on my suit. You've probably seen previous videos of me wearing some quite fancy things, but if I was dressed in a conservative business style, I would probably avoid ticket pockets, turn back cuffs, flaps over the breast pocket, bellows on the pockets. I would always suggest to my customers to avoid patch pockets. They can be seen as a bit too sporty, and either go for a flapped pocket or a jetted pocket. And the back of the jacket would avoid any additional details. I would say you don't want half belts and bellows or pleats, either a plain back or vents. Typically, side vents are considered more conservative at the moment, but there's nothing wrong with a centre vent. I like a double-breasted suit, and in certain London conservative circles, they'd be very well received, and I would suggest my customers to wear them. If your clientele are more international, the double-breasted may have a negative connotation, so I would recommend a little bit more caution about wearing them. But a conservatively cut 6-button double-breasted suit, again, normal breast pocket, side vents, can look very elegant, but I know it does have a slightly different appeal. So for an international appeal, be careful, but for London in conservative circles, it's a good look. And a word on buttons, they should be ideally tonal and in matte real horn, or so it's very smart, but at the very least they should be tonal to the suit. Avoid contrasting ones, avoid cloth covered, avoid mother of pearl, and certainly avoid metal. The waistcoat isn't essential for business dress anymore. It used to be a long time ago. If you like them, and I think if you're quite senior in the position and you've got the gravitas in your role to carry it off, it can look quite good. I would suggest if you're not comfortable wearing it and you're not sure of wearing it, don't wear it. And that's always quite a good excuse, a good rule of thumb for business dress. If you're not sure, don't wear it. If you're looking to make a good first impression and you're not sure about, is this tie too bright, should I wear the duller one? Go for the duller one. You want to look conservative, well put together. So the same for waistcoats. Now, obviously in the industry I'm in fashion, I'm in style. I can pretty much wear what I like, and for me, wearing a 3-piece suit is part of my image. If I was going to meet a very conservative customer, yeah, I'd probably still wear it. If I was younger, I probably wouldn't have done it. Also, same for braces. Now, I always wear braces in my suits, but I'd be very careful in a conservative business environment, either to keep my jacket on all the time, and at least to wear conservative coloured ones, maybe a navy or a dark red, and leave the spots for a more festive occasion. Now, the trousers have to match the jacket. If you're wearing a business suit, the suit is a matching cloth. At the moment, I'm advising my customers to avoid belt loops and belts of their suits. There is certainly in conservative London circles a sign that if you've got a suit with side adjusters, you're in the know of knowing how to dress. And that's picked up on. It's a detail people would pick up on. And then the waist of it, you want it to be, again, avoiding anything too extreme, not ridiculously high, not too low, a moderate to high rise, nicely fitted onto the waist, and then pleats or flat front, depending on your taste. Now, there's no right or wrong here, but I would avoid anything too sporty. So if you do a flat front, I probably wouldn't go for frogmouth pockets. I go for a typically slanted side pocket. And if there are pleats, 1 or 2 either side, nothing too extreme, just to give a little bit of definition to the front crease. Now, the leg line, again, you don't want Oxford bags, you don't want like a huge wide bottom, and you certainly don't want that horrible skinny look. They should just be a natural taper or a straight leg, something which balances out the cut of the jacket. Now, whether you want to have turn-ups or cuffs, as they're known in some parts of the world, or a plain hem, is okay. Is it personal? Yes. At the moment, I'm finding my London customers are very much leaning towards always having a turn-up. And the general mood of that is that the King of England, King Charles, always wears turn-ups, so it's seen as being conservative. That's true. It's very much, we look to how he dresses and it informs us. But to have no turn-ups, it's not incorrect. So I would say follow what you like, what your own personal taste is. But at the moment, if you wanted to give a more of a conservative look, I would opt towards a turn-up. The shirt you wear for conservative business dress is very important. If you have a very classic suit and you put the wrong shirt with it, you destroyed the look. Your shirt and definitely your tie will frame your face and give you the right image. So the collar shapes you're looking at are non-button down, non-tab, no jewellery, no bars, no clips. You want a nice clean collar and either straight or semi-cutaway. I would avoid those very extreme cutaways, which I absolutely love, in a conservative business environment. So the collars we're seeing here are pretty much all semi-cutaways with a decent enough collar, so the collar point sits under the lapel, which gives very clean, polished appearance. And this is where you need to look well put together and your clothes are well cared for. It goes without saying your suit should be freshly pressed and your collar should either have a good stand to it, it should be well ironed, it should be maybe lightly starched. You certainly should have the collarbones inside the shirt collar holding it in place. It just frames your face well, and more importantly, it holds that nice smart tie knot in place. Your shirt absolutely has to be lighter than your suit. So in practice that means white, sky blue, cream, maybe pink. The pattern, it should either be poplin or a broadcloth, which is a very smooth material. Avoid anything too shiny, so some sort of twills and herringbones can be a bit shiny, or a very discreet stripe. I love the blue Bengals. Very discreet checks can look very smart, but avoid anything that looks too sporty or the sort of thing you'd wear with a blazer. If your shirt has a double cuff, you're obviously going to be wearing cufflinks, which is a very smart traditional finish to your shirt. But a simple button cuff is also appropriate. But one thing that isn't appropriate is a pocket on your shirt, so make sure shirts do not have pockets. And of course, you absolutely are wearing a tie. Your tie should be darker than your shirts and in a conservative pattern. If I was dressing for conservative business dress, I'd probably avoid the tie I'm wearing today. It's one of my absolute favourite plain shantungs, and elect one of the ones I have on the mannequins here. Printed silk, discreet patterns, conservative designs, dark reds, greens, navies, clarets, always look very, very smart, conservative. Other designs which are very useful are stripes and spots. Now for stripes, make sure they are conservative stripes, navy based with a small amount of colours and not those very bold sort of club country style ties you see. And then for spots, small pin dots always look very, very elegant. So you're looking for something which isn't too shiny, something which has a discreet pattern and it's a conservative colour palette. And your tie should be well tied, smart to the neck with no gap at the top, in a moderate tie knot with a smart dimple, always looks smart. And as well as making sure you have a well tied tie at the neck and a beautiful smart knot, make sure the length isn't either too short or too long. It should finish around the waist of your trousers. Don't obsess about that, but avoid anything which is very short or overly long. As I said, I wouldn't wear a collar bar. I certainly wouldn't wear a tie pin for conservative business. However, you may elect to wear a tie slide or a tie pin lower down in your tie to anchor it in place. If you're not sure about it, you don't feel it's for you or you feel uncomfortable with it, if you're self-conscious, don't wear them. But I would say it's more of a conservative business look. The tie slide in certain circumstances would look slightly American, whereas the safety pin style is more of an English look. If you're a fan of the pocket square, and let's face it, you probably are, keep them very discreet. This isn't a time to show off your fanciest folds, just a small amount showing in a colour which complements the tie but never matches, you know that already. And just keep it very, very subtle, discreet and elegant. I like this combination here with the dark navy and the red tie. I think that's perfect for business. In certain circumstances, you could suggest that wearing a white folded linen would be considered more conservative. Again, in London, that is seen as being a little bit modern, a bit fash. In America, I see my American customers wear it and it's very elegant and conservative. It's not as normal to see that in London, so the squared off one has quite a jarring effect. So I would say to be conservative in London, it would be this type of look, maybe or with a discreet pattern, and then the squared off white pocket handkerchief. I like it more for morning dress than for black tie, and just be cautious for business wear. How you dress your hands for business is important. So if you're wearing double cuffs, your cufflinks should be discreet. I prefer chain links, but T-bars are acceptable. Keep them discreet, not humorous ones. Your watch, always wear a watch. Don't wear a smartwatch, they don't look good. I prefer to wear a leather strap for business if I was being conservatively dressed. But I know there are some quite smart metal strap watches out there, but more of a dress watch rather than anything too blingy or sporty. And again, minimal jewellery. I just wear a signet ring and my wedding band. And of course, shoes are the essential part of the outfit because they need to be nicely polished. We've recently done a most wonderful video in Gateshead and Girling in Savile Row, which is a link to it here, which will tell you everything you need to know about the different styles. But for conservative business dress, you're looking for black lace-ups, ideally an Oxford toe cap. And of course, your socks should tone in with the outfit. So again, charcoal with grey, navy with blue. And it goes without saying, you should be well groomed. Your nails should be short and clean, your hair should be cut regularly, and if you have a beard, it should be trimmed, and if you're clean shaven, you need to shave regularly. You may have all these details absolutely in the bag, and you've got the right suit, your shoes are polished, you're well groomed, but don't ruin it all by making a bad first impression. This is really important message to come across. If you're visiting a client, you're going for a job interview, and you're arriving at reception, don't let yourself down with the bag being wrong. Don't have a rucksack over your shoulders. If you have to have a rucksack with you for whatever reason, carry it by your side. I recommend having a proper briefcase you carry, or if you need to take your phones and papers, a smart leather folio just gives a really good impression, something you can take into the boardroom. And a good overcoat or a decent raincoat looks so much nicer than an anorak. A proper umbrella. So when you turn up at an office and you're seeing reception, you just look very well put together and you're making a great first impression. Well, I hope you found that informative. As I said at the beginning of the video, it was very much a London-centric video. So if you are from different parts of the world, we'd love to hear your take on business dress and whether our look would work in different parts of the world. Put that in the comments below. And oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe.